Okay, so I got the second case all cleaned up. It's all nice and pretty, just like the first case. And so I didn't actually get to show any of the leveling process because annoyingly enough, the second case was perfectly flat the way it was. So something went right on that glue up that didn't go right on this glue up. So again, it's just one of the parts of woodworking. So one of the minor issues that we've now created by leveling these two is that we have a very slight height difference, but it's nothing to really worry about. And so with both cases on the table saw now, I can figure out what that height difference is and whether or not it's going to be a big problem. And so with my Veritas straight edge on here, this is just the aluminum one. They're fairly inexpensive and I highly recommend getting one because it's a perfectly true straight edge. What you can do is, I know that this case is going to be slightly higher just because I didn't have to take any material off the legs there. So by pushing down on there, I've got a 32nd of an inch setup block, and I can just easily check in there that this gap is not going to be any problem whatsoever. Anything over 1/8 of an inch, you might start having problems, but again, we're less than a 32nd of an inch difference between the two heights of these, and so we're not going to have any issues when we actually go to put the desktop on this thing. There is going to be a minor slope, but again, if I decide to put leveling feet in here, if I want this desk perfectly level in my office, then I can do that, or that minor slope is not going to be anything that I'm going to notice between the two cases anyway, because again, I already know that the floor in my house might not actually be perfectly flat either, all this other stuff. And again, it's probably close to a 64th of an inch difference in height. I'm not going to freak out about that because it's not worth it. Everything is going to come together. And again, you have to remember these are going to be a decent ways apart from each other. So even then, even that distance between the two are going to negate that height difference even more. Alright, so I've got a bunch of stuff gluing up, certain parts drying, all that stuff kind of coming together. And so while I've got kind of a lull, I'm going to start putting together the panel that's going to make up the desktop here. So we're going to be going with the breadboard end desktop, very similar to the trunk lid that I built in the last project. So I'm going to be taking a white oak center and then trimming it with a bunch of walnut. This looks really, really good in my opinion. And yeah, I think it's just going to look really cool. But anyway, so we're going to be making a big breadboard end top. And how this is going to work is I want 3 white oak pieces to make up my center area, the mass of the desktop here. And then we're going to have 3-inch wide strips being glued along either edge of that white oak section. And then our breadboard ends will be 3 inches wide and will be made of walnut. This will give us a nice 3-inch wide perimeter of walnut around the whole desktop. So we'll get a nice large white oak section that will be very durable, that I can do most of my work on, and it's not going to get damaged easily and saves us a little bit of money. And we get a really beautiful walnut trim and all the benefits that a breadboard end top brings. So I don't have to worry about it warping because of those breadboard ends, and the walnut trim is just going to look spectacular. So I'm really excited to get started on this. It's going to be a large piece to glue up. So I don't really have a space in my shop dedicated to large glue ups like this, so I'm just going to kind of have to improvise. And so like I mentioned earlier on in this series, when I glued up those cases, what I'm going to be doing with this tabletop is I'm going to set up a sheet of MDF, and I'm going to be doing this glue up on top of that. I'm going to lay down some paper on that so the glue doesn't drip and stick to the MDF, but I want to make sure that I'm using a perfectly flat surface for this glue up, because it's going to be, well, it is practically impossible for me in my shop and with the tools and machinery that I have to get this tabletop nice and flat once I've got it all glued up. Because even if I was just to put glue up 2 of the white oak boards that I'm going to be working with for the center section, that is now wider than my planer. So I'm going to have to really pay attention when I'm doing this glue up. I'm going to be using all my calls, making sure that I get a nice perfectly flat panel. That way when I go in to add the breadboard ends, everything should work out just fine. Alright, so as you guys can see here, we've got a minor problem with the router sled method I was planning to use to flatten these boards. The router sled that I have, the jig that I've built, is only 55 inches long. I need to flatten 63-inch long boards. So we got an extra almost 10 inches that are not going to be accounted for if I use the router method. Plus, I wouldn't be able to reach all the way to the ends anyway. So it's not going to work without building a whole new jig. So by eliminating that option, I now have two separate options here. The first one is I could rip all these boards on the bandsaw right down the center, then go through the normal milling process, use my jointer just like it's supposed to be used, and then glue them back together. This will give me a nearly invisible seam down the middle, but the risk here is that if I remove too much material, or when I'm milling these boards, or when I rip them down the middle, if they start to split and then I go through and joint them and clean all that areas up, especially by splitting down the middle where you have all the cathedrals and that, trying to get that seamless joint back together is nearly impossible from when I've tried to do that in the past. So what I'm going to be doing here is a little bit sketchy. Now, I'm going to put in the safety warning right here, a little bit of a disclaimer. If you are not an experienced woodworker, if you don't know your machines, if you are brand new to woodworking, do not use this method to flatten boards. Go to the router method, go do literally anything else but what I'm about to do. I am not liable if you guys injure yourself mimicking my behaviors in this video. That's just going to be the solid disclaimer that I'm going to put for this next portion. Because what I'm going to be doing here is a very standard technique for flattening long, wide boards. If you have a board that's wider than your jointer, this is a very common technique, but it also does involve a little bit more risk compared to your standard woodworking methods. And so what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking the guard off of my jointer. What this allowed me to do is to joint a full 6-inch wide section of these boards using my jointer, which is all set up. I know that it works to a nice flat point. So all you need to do is lower your infeed table down a very small amount. Again, you have to remember, especially on a small jointer like I'm using here, that's only a 110 volt jointer. I want to be taking very, very small passes here, as well as that makes the whole situation a little bit safer, because I'm taking a full 6-inch wide cut off of these big boards and they're all white oak. It's just a great situation all around. So then what I'm left with on each of these boards is a 6-inch wide section that is fully jointed, perfectly flat, good to go. What I now need to do is I need to get this other face that isn't jointed and has nothing done to it. I need to get that planed down so it is nice and thickness as well, so it is perfectly parallel to that jointed surface. But because we're only using a 6-inch jointer and this is an 8-inch wide board, we're going to have 2 inches on this end here that is going to throw things off, obviously. So to get around that, all I'm going to be doing is attaching a piece of MDF to that jointed area on that board. And so this piece of MDF will reference against the bottom of the planer and be what ends up giving us that parallel edge on the opposite side of the board. Once I get a perfectly parallel edge on the opposite side of the board, I can flip it around, clean up that 2-inch leftover area from the jointer, and I can just move on with my milling as normal. And so there's two kind of sketchy parts to this process. First off, removing the guard from your jointer is just not a recommended thing to do. It just creates a little bit of an extra safety concern that you just normally shouldn't operate around. Again, woodworkers are generally used to working around table saws and band saws and other spinning blades, but jointer blades in specific can be very dangerous. Because they're spinning and pulling under the table, if your hand or finger gets in there, it can pull it into the jointer and you can end up damaging your whole arm. Whereas with a band saw or table saw, it'll just cut the finger clean off usually. So again, jointers are very dangerous machines and you need to be absolutely sure you know what you're doing. The other somewhat dangerous thing we're going to be doing here is creating a slip surface between the rollers of our planer and the base of the planer. And so normally when you're running stock through a planer, it is a solid piece of material where the rubber rollers of the planer push down on that solid piece of material against the base of the machine. What we're creating here is a surface that could separate while it's in the machine, and that can create a whole separate layer of dangerous issues of this board getting kicked back, or this other smaller board getting kicked back, or just stuff falling apart in the machine, which is just never good. So what we need to make very sure of when we do this is that these two are fastened together as well as they possibly can be. Okay, so we now have all three of the main white oak pieces milled, as well as the two side walnut pieces. I didn't bother milling the breadboard end pieces, the pieces that are actually going to make up breadboard ends, because there's no point right now. This is going to be sitting for, well, it's going to be sitting overnight, and I don't want that breadboard end piece to go and do any warping and weird stuff. So what is kind of interesting about all these pieces is the limiting stock piece was one of these walnut ones. I can't remember, I think it's this one right here, which was actually really hard to get flat. So even though these two pieces were cut from the exact same piece, it was just cut right in half, one of them ended up going, like, getting really cupped over the whole length of it, and ended up being just about too small for what we need here. But luckily everything here is just over 3/4 of an inch, which is going to be perfect for the desktop here. So now I'm going to move into the glue up, which, like I said before, we're going to be doing it a little bit differently than you guys have seen me do glue ups before. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking that extra piece of MDF that you guys saw me cut earlier. I'm going to place it over top of my table saw and do the glue up on top of that. That will just give me the best, flattest possible surface that I can get. Now, it's not super important to get the best, flattest surface you possibly can get, because it really is not going to make that much of a difference. Unless you plan to use this desktop or any tabletop in a way where you're constantly checking things, or you're using, like, putting large objects on them and you don't want them to wobble around. That's the only time that full perfect flatness is going to matter. And again, when I take this out of the clamps, there is a chance that it could move around and warp a little bit. But as far as I'm concerned, as long as it's for the most part feels flat, that's a massive improvement over the desk that I currently have. That all has a little, like, divots and bumps and all over it, and even my keyboard doesn't sit flat on that desk. So as far as milling stock like this goes, this is about as complex as it gets. I was not planning to spend the whole day working on the tabletop here. I thought I'd just get this panel together nice and quick, but it ended up being a full day process. Because not only working with extra wide pieces like this, these full 8-inch wide boards, but also just this length. I'm 6 feet tall. These are 63 inches tall. This is a crazy amount of material to have to try and pass through a planer, jointer, bandsaw, table saw. Every machine takes setup time to make sure that you're being safe. So that's one of the big things I will mention about this, is if you're planning to work, or you're building any kind of tabletop or desktop like this, and you're working with long pieces, make sure that you take the time to set up, like, rollers and that will support the stock on the outfeed side of your machines. You don't generally need the support on the infeed side because you're standing there, you can hold it and support it, but definitely on the outfeed side, it's important to have something there, whether it's a roller, a table, or a person helping you to just guide this stuff through all those cutting plates.